Welcome back to the Astrology of Things. I'm your host and certified astrologer, Sheena, and today is December 1st, 2024, and it's 5:57 p.m. And I've been waiting a while to present this material. It's been something I've been sitting on for a good while now, and I still don't think it's at the perfect state to present, but I'm presenting because if I procrastinate any longer, it won't have any value and it's just going to sit on my computer for months on end. So, I've been wanting to talk about the degree theory and my concerns about it, in that I don't think the degree theory is accurate, and I found many shortcomings in the theory. And so my intention with this video is to take a step toward revising that degree theory and working toward making a better path for astrologers to practice and be more exact and precise in their astrological interpretations. What is the degree theory, if you don't already know? Well, the degree theory is an exact and precise astrological analysis technique, and it was discovered by the late Nikola Stojanovic, who unfortunately passed away in 2021. And I first personally came across this theory on someone else's channel. It wasn't on Nikola's channel. I don't even know if he has a channel, actually. But I came across it on YouTube a couple years back, and I was very fascinated and thought that the idea was genius. And I'm going to link the original video that kind of got me onto this theory in the first place, but I also am going to include a video to where Nikola is actually talking about the degree theory on another astrologer's channel, so you can kind of gather some context if you're not already familiar with the degree theory. But in general, the degree theory says that each degree within each zodiac sign has I call it a micro zodiacal ruler and planetary ruler. And I do want to know, I'm adding the planetary ruler part. As far as I know, Nikola didn't add the planetary rulership into it. He was just applying the zodiacal rulership to each degree within the zodiac sign. But that's the theory in general, and I thought that idea was pretty genius. So I started digging more and learning more about the theory and learning about, how he came up with the theory. But when I started learning more about the theory, it wasn't really convincing to me. I didn't really understand the zodiacal allocation to each degree within the zodiac signs. And so it prompted me to think about it, I guess, from my own perspective and my own understanding of astrology and astrology's principles and even mathematical principles. So this is Nikola Stojanovic, and this is his natal chart. And I think it's fascinating that if you take a look at this asteroid here. This is Urania. Urania is an asteroid named after the Greek goddess of astronomy, and in using this asteroid in astrological interpretations is usually known to represent what contributions you'll make in the astrological field and what type of astrologer you'll be. His Urania is in Aries, and Aries is a sign of innovation, pioneering, doing things that are daring and risky or new. And Aries is a very psychological sign, and so this is also a sign of like concepts and ideas, things that aren't quite tangible. And so his Urania is in Aries, and so he discovered this theory, and so I think that is very fitting for this particular placement, but I'll talk about that placement later when I go into applying my new proposed theory, and so we can see how that pans out there. So in general, my issue with the degree theory is that the zodiacal allocation to each degree within each zodiac sign is incorrect due to the exclusion of fundamental mathematical and astrological principles. So why am I bringing math into the equation? Well, math precedes astrology, and I think it's really important in order to analyze the degree theory. We have to really kind of take a step back and think about our foundations, not only astrological but mathematical. And I have this quote here from Carl Payne Toby, who is another astrologer who is no longer with us, but I talk about him a lot in some of the videos that I've made and put on my channel, because he really changed my perspective in the way I think about astrology, and he really helped to open my mind to think more about astrology and why we attribute the meanings and significations to the zodiac signs and the planets and the aspects in the way that we do. And I think he's a brilliant genius astrologer who does a great job at explaining the astrological fundamentals, and he does a great job at really communicating what astrology is and how it relates to mathematics. But in one of his books called Astrology Lessons, he notes that astrology is a mathematical study of biological and psychological dynamics. And so, again, math is a foundation to astrology. So we have to keep that in mind. And so the mathematical and astrological principles that I'm referring to include repeating patterns. So in math, this is a quote I got offline, but the quote is saying that a repeating pattern refers to a sequence where a specific set of elements consistently repeats itself over and over again, following a predictable rule, essentially creating a cyclic structure where you can identify a unit of repeat that is continuously replicated throughout the pattern. And so we can clearly see this pattern when we think of the 12 zodiac signs, which is the astrological principles that I'm referring to. So within the zodiac signs, there's 12 of them, but there's also zodiac signs of different modalities and elements. The 12 zodiac signs consist of 4 different elements, and within each element, of course, they have 3 zodiac signs associated with them. But we can see that there's patterns within patterns, and there's consistency within those patterns. So all in all, these principles all deal with patterns and structure, and the degree theory disregards these fundamental principles. So, how does the current degree theory work today? In Nikola's degree theory, each degree within a zodiac sign, with the exception of the 0 degree, each degree within the zodiac sign has a zodiacal ruler. So in this graph here, I have just an example of the zodiac sign Aries. Here I have the decans, but the decans don't really matter, but I just have them represented here. And then we have the degrees of the zodiac sign. So all zodiac signs start at 0 degrees. But that's if you are dissecting the 360-degree circle into the 12 zodiac signs. But let's say you didn't divide that circle. The 0 degree of the following sign would just continue counting the degrees all the way up to 360. So you can see here, Aries ends at 29 degrees. So we could say the next zodiac sign, which is Taurus, it could start at 0 degrees, or we could say that it starts at 30 degrees. But for the sake of this example, let's go with the 0 degrees starting at the beginning of each zodiac sign. So yeah, according to the degree theory, the 0 degree is the purest form of the zodiac sign. And so Nikola does not attribute any zodiac sign to it. And so the pattern, or the zodiacal pattern and allocation, starts at the 1st degree in a zodiac sign. And so here, this is the first iteration of the zodiacal pattern. And we see it goes all the way up through Pisces. And the 13th degree, again, or the 13th degree starts the zodiacal pattern over again. And so there's a second iteration of the pattern that begins. And so if we move forward again, go through the 12 zodiac signs, we reach the 25th degree, where the third iteration of the zodiacal pattern begins. And then if we continue going forward, we go to Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. So Leo ends the zodiacal pattern within that sign. And the pattern ends here. And so if Taurus were to come in the picture, if we had an extension of this, we would see 0 degrees Taurus, and it would start all over again. So that 0 degree of Taurus would be unassigned, and then the 1st degree of Taurus would be Aries. So that's how the degree theory currently works. And so just take a snapshot of this and apply that to every zodiac sign. The pattern would be the same. Apply it to all 12 zodiac signs. The pattern would be the same as presented here. And that is where my issues come in with this theory. So, problem number 1 that I have with the theory is that the 0 degree is unassigned. And even though it's 0 degrees of that sign, it's still a part of the 360-degree zodiacal circle. And even though the 360-degree circle is divided into 12, it's still a spectrum, a continuum, and it's still should contain the zodiacal patterns as we zoom into the zodiac signs. And so why not allocate a zodiac sign to the 0 degree of each sign? And as I was looking and learning more about, Nikola's rationale and his research on this theory, he admitted himself that the 0 degree was a mystery when he derived the theory. And it wasn't up until a certain point or a certain event that occurred, he erected a chart for that particular event, and he noticed that 2 planets were at 0 degrees. And so he attributed the 0 degree as the purest form of that particular zodiac sign. So I personally don't think that reason was good enough to just call the 0 degree unassigned. Like, I guess before that event happened, why was the 0 degree unassigned? Like, 0 degrees is a part of the zodiac sign still, so I'm not the only person who has noticed this shortcoming and questioned it. I've seen a couple online forums where there was a discussion about the 0 degree and confusion around the 0 degree and why it means what it means according to Nikola. My second issue with the degree theory is that it breaks the zodiacal pattern, and it ends at each zodiac sign at the 29th degree. So here I have just a table showing the degree allocation or the zodiac allocation to each degree within a zodiac sign. And so here you can see the first iteration of the zodiacal pattern in a zodiac sign. Here's the second iteration, and then here's the third iteration. And so when we get to the 29th degree of each sign, the pattern ends. And so we have in the red here, we have Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces missing an allocation. And it's not made up for anywhere. It's just, avoided. And then the other issue I have with this is that it ends on a fixed sign. The 29th degree ends with Leo. Leo is a fixed sign. And if you know your solar astrology and understand the solar year, each season changes during a mutable sign. And so I think that is a key bit of information that I think should persist at smaller levels within this larger zodiacal system or astrological system. And so I think of as above, so below, as within, so without. That whole concept. If you understand The larger system, you can understand smaller systems and vice versa. The other issue I have with this is that there's a power imbalance. As we saw in the previous graph, there was the zodiac sign ended on a Leo degree, and it starts over again. And so that gives a huge imbalance into how many zodiac signs rule a degree within the larger 360 degrees of the zodiacal circle. So here, based on the current theory, we have 12 degrees that are unassigned. That has no zodiacal ruler, if you call it. And then we have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo owning 36 different degrees within the 360 degree circle. And then Virgo through Pisces owns 24. And so clearly here there's a imbalance, a power imbalance, inequality represented in how many degrees each zodiac sign rules. And then again, this shows the unevenness, inequality, and lack of repetition in the zodiacal pattern. So my proposal to fix the degree theory is to apply the zodiacal pattern consistently within the 360 degrees of the zodiacal circle, beginning at 0 degrees. But also, I think what would help to understand my proposal is to convert the zodiac into 360 degrees so that we can think of the zodiac as more of a continuous spectrum or waveform rather than separate rigid chunks. And then thinking of the zodiac circle in this way, we can break I'll call it a mental boundary. We can break the mental boundary that was limiting and restricting the zodiacal pattern application that ended abruptly at the 29th degree of each sign. And so that's what this graph here is showing, a continuation of the degrees all the way around the circle. So with that, my proposal is, again, to apply the zodiacal pattern equally throughout the 360 degree circle, beginning at 0 degrees Aries. And so on the left, you can see the current degree theory and the zodiacal applications to each degree within a zodiac sign. But to the right, you'll see the revised version that I have. And so with this version, you can see the pattern iteration 1 beginning with Aries, second iteration, and then the third iteration. And so here's the 29th degree. So now the 29th degree is ruled by Virgo, since we are now counting the 0 degree into the equation. And we are also starting with 0 at 0 degrees. And then you can see this goes past the 29th degree because, again, I want us to think about this as a continuous wave. And so we're going to continue counting all the way up to 360 degrees. So degree 30 is actually the beginning of the next zodiac sign, which would be Taurus. So Taurus represents that 30 degree and the new beginning there. And then we continue counting and applying the zodiac signs in a pattern all the way up to 360 degrees. And with that new application, we can see a revised allocation of how many degrees each zodiac sign rules. So in the revised theory, we're getting rid of all of the unassigned 0 degrees, and we're counting those 0 degrees and making sure they get a zodiacal ruler. And with that change and revision, each zodiac sign gets an equal number of degrees. And so not only is there a balance of power now, we can also start to see a pattern forming where each zodiac sign represents a 30-degree span within that 360-degree circle. But now we're also saying that each zodiac sign owns or rules at the degree level 30 different degrees throughout. That is spread out throughout the 360-degree circle. And so I'm showing here what this looks like with the degree or the zodiacal allocation to each degree within the first 3 zodiac signs. So I have Aries, Taurus in the middle, Gemini at the bottom. But you can see that the zodiacal pattern continues to be applied. Here we end at the Virgo degree. But even though it ends at the Virgo degree, here we start at the next zodiac sign when we get to the beginning of Taurus. So we go from Virgo to Libra and continue on with the zodiacal pattern until we get to the end of Taurus, which is ruled by a Piscean degree, and then we repeat again and again throughout the rest of the zodiac. And so with this, we can even start to see or make observations about the zodiacal allocation, where the masculine signs rule even numbered degrees, feminine signs rule odd number degrees, and then each zodiac sign ends on a mutable sign, which is, I'll call it a micro reflection of a larger system, the larger solar year, where our changing seasons end on mutable signs. And the new season starts with a cardinal. So we have that pattern here. Each zodiac sign is starting with a cardinal sign and ending on a mutable. So how can we test this new and revised degree theory? I'm not going to go into an extensive analysis of tons and tons of charts, but I just wanted to show or use Nikola's natal chart to just show a simple example of the revised degree theory applied. And so at the beginning of this presentation, I pointed out Nikola's asteroid Urania being in Aries, but here I'm pointing out that it's at 17 degrees. So according to Nikola's degree theory, 17 degrees of Aries is Leo ruled. And in the new revised degree theory, Virgo, or 17 degrees is Virgo ruled. Now, from what you know and understand of Nikola and his work in astrology, what is better fit to the type of astrology and contributions he's made to the astrological field? And I hope I'm not biased in saying this. I don't think I am. But to me, and even in, how Nikola has described his theory as exact and precise astrology, that is very that is very Virgoan. Virgo, the zodiac sign, is very analytical and all about the smaller details and all about the parts of a whole. And being that his Urania is in Aries, we can say that Nikola created a new pioneering way to analyze astrology. That's with the new theory. But the old theory, or his current theory, that 17 degree is Leo. I can't. Leo ruled. And Leo is all about presentation, showing things, revealing, expression, expressing outwardly. And I personally don't think Nikola's astrological works and contributions were of a Leo nature. Although, yes, his theory has gotten visibility and he is known for his degree theory. I think the Leo-ness is expressed in a different way in his chart, because if we look back to his chart, we see he has the sun in the 10th house. So, but also, the sun in his chart is the dispositor to Pluto, and Urania's dispositor in my personal practice. And you can learn more about why I attribute or allocate this planet to Aries if you learn more about Carl Payne Toby's work. But in my practice, inspired by Carl Payne Toby, Aries is ruled by Pluto. All right, so if we trace back Urania, even though it is at that in the revised theory that I'm proposing, even though it's at 17 degrees, we are still Urania is still disposited by Pluto here, which is then disposited by the sun. So I'm sure you would like to be convinced with many more examples, but I think I can save that for another time. I primarily just wanted to get this out there, get people thinking about it, and challenge people to test it on their own. If my proposed revisions to the degree theory are sound enough, which I think they are, that also means that we can go beyond degree theory. We can apply the same concepts and zoom in just a little bit further to get more precise in our analysis. And that leads us to a minute theory, and even further, a second theory. While I do think a minute theory and a second theory is a little bit too precise, because that will require extremely precise times and birth dates and inception times. I think that's a little bit too granular, but hey, the system would apply if we apply these same concepts at those micro levels. And I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I know it was a bit lengthy, and I know there's so many ways I could improve this, and maybe I'll come back at another time and dig a bit deeper, or, make some refinements. But in general, I think this is good enough to get your minds flowing and thinking. And lastly, check out my website where you can find astrology related items and blog posts. I don't get to post a lot of blog posts, but hopefully I will be able to get back to it in the future. But astrology related items on my website include the 2025 Mercury retrograde calendar postcards. And one of my new favorites, I have a happy solar return postcard to help celebrate people's birthdays, and especially if they're an astrologer, I think they would appreciate that. I am also on Etsy, but things are a tad bit cheaper on my website since I can remove the middleman. But items specifically related to this video are the downloadable PDF that I made that shows the revised degree theory and all of the degrees that each zodiac sign rules. So you can purchase that on my website and download it, and I'll include the link to that specific item in my video description. All right, well, that's all I have. Until next time.